With just hours to go before the president's deadline, baseball owners and players struggle to reach some kind of deal. Good morning from Baltimore. It is Monday, February 6th. I'm Paula Zahn.
And I'm Harry Smith. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to CBS This Morning. More testimony is due today from Denise Brown, who wept while describing her sister's violence-plagued marriage to O.J. Simpson. That and more on CBS This Morning, live in Baltimore.
Speaking of baseball and the strike, we're going to be talking to Orioles owner Peter Angelos. He says he will not field a team of replacement players, which hasn't made him too many fans lately.
Just among the fans, this morning Mark McEwen is at his alma mater. Good morning.
Here I am. Look at all these. Say hi, everybody. Say hey. We're here at Arundel High School. See, I graduated. There is hope for all of you. It's very cold outside. Is it cold outside? We're going to talk about that coming up.
We are delighted to be in Baltimore this morning to show you this great city and to welcome WJZ-TV to our CBS This Morning family. It's a great live shot for you this morning outside.
Gorgeous sunrise. We're going to go back to New York right now. Monica Gale is standing by. She has the news for you this morning. Good morning, Monica.
Good morning to both of you, and good morning, everyone. In the news this morning, baseball players and owners are down to their last out. President Clinton is playing umpire, and he wants the two sides to settle their labor dispute today or face possible government intervention. Bob Orr has the latest on the negotiations.
With both sides still far apart, Labor Secretary Robert Reich last night reminded striking players and owners the president is serious about the deadline he set for today.
To reach a settlement of this as fast as possible and to make sure that there was a 1995 season, make sure that there was spring training.
5 days of negotiations have failed to break the impasse over players' salaries, owners wanting to rein them in, and players demanding the rights to earn whatever they can command. Now, at the president's order, mediator William Ussery will propose his own settlement.
It's a supreme effort to shorten the time span, to speed it up, to bring people together, hopefully get people back playing baseball shortly.
Some players, who along with the owners have lost millions in the strike, think the two sides should settle the dispute on their own.
If both sides are truly sincere about the fact that we need to start having a better relationship, I don't think an imposed system is going to go very far towards improving that relationship.
But for 6 months, each side has accused the other of bad faith bargaining.
It was a little disappointing that the level of movement was just not there at all.
The president says he wants results by 5 p.m. today. But if players and owners reject the mediator's proposed settlement, it's not clear what will happen next. Bob Orr, CBS News, Washington.
President Clinton is sending his 1996 budget plan to Congress today. The proposal outlines $144 billion in spending cuts over the next 5 years, but the federal deficit would remain at about $200 billion a year. Mr. Clinton's plan is already drawing fire from Republicans who want $100 billion more in spending. More emotional testimony is likely today in O.J. Simpson's murder trial when Denise Brown returns to the stand. As Sandra Hughes reports, having a family member of a victim as a witness presents a special problem for the defense.
This morning, attorneys for O.J. Simpson will be faced with one of their toughest challenges yet: how to counter the damaging testimony of Nicole Brown Simpson's sister, detailing O.J. Simpson's alleged history of spousal abuse. Legal experts describe it as one of the most critical moments in the trial and suggest that defense lawyers will need to be very careful about how they approach a family witness.
These are witnesses who are prone to emotional outbursts, who obviously have some very strong views about the trial, who could say unexpected and spontaneous things that could be very, very damaging to Mr. Simpson.
Once the prosecution concludes its questioning, the delicate assignment of cross-examination is expected to fall to defense attorney Robert Shapiro. It's anticipated that he will suggest that Brown is exaggerating O.J. Simpson's alleged abuse, making up for her own sense of loss.
We were all sitting there screaming and crying.
Reversing the tide of her testimony will be difficult. On Friday, Brown gave jurors a look at the darker side of O.J. Simpson when recounting one instance of humiliation by the man she's publicly accused of killing her sister.
O.J. grabbed Nicole's crotch and said, "This is where babies come from, and this belongs to me." And Nicole just sort of wrote it off like it was nothing, like she was used to that kind of treatment.
Brown's testimony was the peak of the first week of trial. When she returns to the witness stand this morning, she's expected to recount the 1989 incident in which O.J. Simpson pled no contest to domestic violence charges. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Astronauts aboard the shuttle Discovery are getting ready for today's rendezvous with the Russian space station Mir. But a leaking thruster on the shuttle continues to spill fuel, and Russian officials don't want Discovery to get any closer than 400 feet. The original plan called for an approach to within 35 feet, but the Russians fear leaking fuel could damage the station. That's the news for now. Let's go back to Harry and Paula in Baltimore this morning.
Thanks, Monica.
6 minutes past the hour.
There you go.
We're in Baltimore this morning, the Science Center here. Mark, Harry, and I all arrived last night together at Penn Station, where we got quite the welcome.
Absolutely.
Mark's a few miles away right now in Gambrills, Maryland. What did you think of all the celebrating last night?
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
Hey,
I am here with everybody here at Arundel High School. Gambrills is just down the road. Wave, everybody. You can say hi. Okay, hold on. Watch this, everybody. Watch this. Way back in 1972 in the Arundel High School yearbook, Mike DeBartolo told me to come up to Arundel to take a picture. When you open up the Arundel High School yearbook, take a look at the picture here. That's me driving the car on the left-hand side. You can't tell it's me because I have a whole lot more hair. That's Mike DeBartolo on the right with a red and white t-shirt on. He lives out in Utah now, and that's Robin Gotch in the front seat. Had no idea they were going to use this, but that's the opening of our high school yearbook. Let me show you my high school picture. Ah! Look at that. Man, oh man, if I had known, I would. When I cut my hair, I would have saved it. Look at all that hair. We're going to talk to Buddy Hepfer coming up. Okay, shh, let me do the weather. Take a look at the map and let's talk about it. It is cold in the Northeast today. Brutally cold actual temperatures across parts of New England, not above 0. Northeast coastline will be in the teens, very windy. Wind chills 25 to 40 below. High in Baltimore will be 25 degrees today. Nice in the center of the country, a little bit of snow to talk about, not much. Out to the west, some fog in California. That's the national forecast this morning.
In other news this morning, it has been a long time coming, but winter has finally arrived in the Northeast. And as Diana Olick reports, that is good news for some New England residents.
Finally, dawn in North Conway, New Hampshire looks like it's supposed to.
It's been a long time coming, but I think we got enough.
Enough sub-zero wind and white gold to put this previously brown and out ski town in a thankful mood and put them back where they like to be.
This looks pretty good up there.
Herbert Schneider's been going up and down Mount Cranmore for more than a half a century, but this winter had him scared.
In my 56 years being here in New Hampshire, I've never seen one like it.
When he and his father founded the Mount Cranmore ski area, they never expected a snowless winter. Attendance this year has been down almost 15%. But Herbert says this one snow will set the pace for an extended season, maybe even into April.
You can pretty much tell.
If Herbert's snow predictions for his mountain come true, that means this ski area could recoup its early season losses. And while that's great news up on the mountain, it's even better news down in the valley.
This is just icing. This is what it should be. You know, winter wonderland, atmosphere, sleigh rides, things that non-skiers can still do.
Like shop in nearly 100 outlet stores and ski shops. You might say this storm put North Conway and towns like it all over New England back in business.
Okay, Rhode Island, you better come up.
And they want you to know it. Diana Olick, CBS News, North Conway, New Hampshire.
And now for another check of the weather, let's go to Mark McEwen at Arundel High School. Good morning, Mark. How does it feel to be back in school?
It feels like I should be going to detention or something. Here I am. Hold on for a second. What's great about Arundel High School?
What's great is like the spirit. Everybody just loves it. It's great.
What's your name?
Melinda Logan.
I'm Melinda Logan. What do you like about Arundel?
The boys.
The boys. What's cool about Arundel? You're a senior. What's your name?
John Hardy.
And he's watching himself on TV.
I like the girls at Arundel. They're awesome. They're the best.
Okay. Woo! They're all watching themselves on TV. Let's do a little bit of weather here while we're talking about it. The highs around the country. It's going to be cold. Look at the wind chill factors. You can see them. That's what the wind chills are going to be. Let's look at the actual temperatures. Take a peek, and here's what we've got. Look at that. In Baltimore today, the high is going to be 25, 18 in New York, 11 in Boston, 74 in Los Angeles, 70 in San Antonio, 65 in Miami. And boy, if you've ever been to Miami, you know that is very, very cold. 75 in Honolulu as well. That's a quick look at the national forecast. Here's a look at your weather.
All right. From Arundel High School to Television Hill, it is cold in both locations. 6 degrees here, wind chills minus 13 to minus 20 as the winds howl in behind the weekend storm. Sunny today, ineffective sunshine. Wind chills below 0 for the stats. The high will be 24 to 25.
on this morning, the budget battle. We are in Baltimore, a city so close to Washington they actually share an airport. And later on this morning, President Clinton will unveil his budget proposal. But it's already under attack from Republicans who say it does not make a big enough dent in the federal deficit. Utah Republican Orrin Hatch, the author of the balanced budget amendment in the Senate, joins us from the Senate gallery. Good morning, Senator. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. The president will formally unveil his budget later today, which has deficit projections of the neighborhood of $200 billion for the next decade. How seriously will Republicans take this plan?
Well, at the same time that they're saying we don't need a balanced budget constitutional amendment, you've seen Democrat after Democrat say that we ought to just do it. The president puts out a budget that admits that for the next 12 years there will be deficits of at least $190 billion, even if you assume the optimistic economic projections that they've put into the budget. So, as you can see, I think we need a balanced budget constitutional amendment to give the incentives to Congress to do what's right and to get spending under control by the year 2002.
Before we come back and talk about specific cuts that Republicans would like to see added, what are the chances of the balanced budget amendment passing in the Senate? You need 67 more votes to do that.
Well, we're really close. We've got almost all Republicans voting for it. All we need are 15 Democrats. 15 out of 47. If we can get 15 Democrats, we'll pass it. Now, we're pretty confident that we're close to that, and I believe the people throughout this country are going to raise such cane that they'll get enough Democrats for us to pass it. It's really one of the only hopes, and if you look at the president's budget, we're going to increase deficit by well over $1 trillion over the next 5 years, even though the president is trying to do his best in bringing down spending. It's going to take Congress and the president to do it, and it's going to take a balanced budget amendment to force us to.
Let's assume for a moment it does pass. What are the Republicans going to do to try to cut $600 to $700 billion out of the budget to accomplish that goal?
Well, every expenditure of the federal government has got to be covered by the balanced budget amendment. If you don't, there'll be loopholes that you could drive spending trucks through. Now, Senator Domenici, our chairman of the Budget Committee, said the other day that if we would just allow the federal government to grow by 2% a year, that means we'll spend more every year. Excluding Social Security from the budget, we could balance the budget by the year 2002. Under the president's budget recommendations, we will have $190 billion deficits plus each of those years, plus another 3 or 4 years beyond that. So I think we've got to do what we have to here in the Congress, and that is get Congress to have to live within certain means by a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution.
Well, let's talk about other action that people are expecting might happen. Some of your colleagues in the House are talking about major changes in Medicare and actually creating a health care bill that would completely rework Medicaid and Medicare. Is that plausible, and do you think you ever could get the Democrats to compromise on that?
Well, it needs to be done. We know that the states could handle Medicaid much better if they were given the same amount of money. They would save us billions and billions of dollars because we have a lot of idiotic, ridiculous, bureaucratic rules and regulations that are running up the cost. You know, it's estimated on welfare payments and other social services that of every dollar brought into the federal government to take care of those problems, we get about 28 cents back to the people who need them. Now, that's just ridiculous, and I think we ought to get government closer to the people and allow the states a chance to do what they think is best in their states to help their own people and get rid of this bureaucracy back here that's eating all this money up right here in Washington, D.C.
What can you tell me about another compromise that people are talking about? If Republicans go along with the president's plan to increase the minimum wage, Democrats may go along with the idea of cuts in the capital gains tax. Is that realistic?
That's a very interesting compromise, and I would be interested in that because I believe that economic statistics show that since the early 60s, that every time you increase capital gains taxes, revenues go down. Every time you cut capital gains taxes, people save more, invest more, create more businesses, employ more people, and revenues to the federal government go up. So it makes sense to cut capital gains. A lot of Republicans don't want to see the minimum wage go up because that cuts out an awful lot of these uneducated, undertrained kids at the bottom. But I think that might be a compromise that could work.
In closing this morning, do you think that President Clinton's nominee for Surgeon General, Dr. Henry Foster, will be approved?
Well, I want to support the president, and we're certainly going to look at it, but there are some very troubling things concerning his nomination and what was said about it before he was sent up, and frankly, there's a lot of concern up here on Capitol Hill, not just the abortion issue, but the whole issue of Joycelyn Elders and her attitudes towards teaching sex to our children and the way to do it. And that's got a lot of people upset, so we'll just have to see. I want people to be fair. I want to be fair, want to support the president, want to give Dr. Foster every benefit of the doubt, but I think it's time to get surgeon generals who really, really set an example and do what really is necessary health-wise for our people throughout this country.
We'll be watching to see if he makes it through the process. Senator Orrin Hatch, thank you, as always, for joining us this morning.
Nice to be with you, Paula.
It is just about 15 minutes after the hour. Coming up next, meet Peter Angelos, the baseball owner who won't play ball with replacement players. When CBS This Morning continues, live from Baltimore. On just about 17 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Baltimore and a part of America rich in history and patriotism. After all, this is where Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, so it is fitting that the U.S. Naval Academy is close by in Annapolis. So this year, the Academy celebrates its 150th anniversary, and our Hattie Kaufman is here to tell us about it. And I'm not crying because I'm so moved by it. It's bright in here this morning, but I'm sure I will be when we see the piece.
It is quite a place. Now consider, the U.S. Naval Academy has produced not only some of America's highest-ranking naval officers, but also a president, 202 members of Congress, 72 Medal of Honor winners, and 40 astronauts.
Forward!
The U.S. Naval Academy takes pride in traditions that are much the same today as they have been for a century and a half.
Right, second squad, circle up.
Midshipmen are not just students. They are future officers in the Navy or Marine Corps and are expected to live up to time-honored standards of morality and leadership.
Being an officer isn't simply operating a weapon system. It's not simply flying a jet aircraft. It's not simply being technically competent. It's living to a standard of integrity and behavior all the time.
So, you didn't take 15 minutes out of your time and read your newspaper articles.
Freshmen, or plebes, learn discipline the hard way during a humbling first year.
You're kind of put onto the wire and everybody's looking at you and you have to do everything perfectly and you got a lot of people to impress.
Academics are demanding. Technical studies range from naval architecture to robotics to aerospace engineering. Sports and physical education are mandatory. At the end of the day, there's little time for relaxation.
Oh, I love going to bed at night. That's one of my favorite parts of the day.
Academy life has changed a lot since 1845. Students have more freedom of choice in their studies, and minorities and women are now a familiar part of the landscape. But adaptation doesn't come easily. The tailhook scandal and a major cheating scandal here last year forced the Navy to review its education system. And the Academy now has its first four-star admiral at the helm to steer it through the changes.
We have character development seminars, renewed emphasis on our honor concept. We're instituting a course on consideration of others, respect for human dignity, and it's all part of this character development umbrella.
The midshipmen themselves welcome the breath of fresh air following the scandals.
I think they're probably two of the best things that could have ever happened to the Navy. I think that we had overlooked a lot of training and a lot of things that we needed to, cover before we moved on to be junior officers.
So you think they should address this situation immediately, or?
So I don't really think they have a choice but to say something. I mean,
ethics are now taught in the classroom. Midshipmen are encouraged to take responsibility for their own decisions. Senior Debbie Roberge is prepared to tackle tough issues like homosexuality in the ranks.
We're in a society right now where people have to start accepting people for who they are. If someone chooses to do something, on their own time, but still works like everybody else, in the environment that they're put in, then I don't think we have any right to say anything.
It is hoped midshipmen will graduate with more than just their training and a degree, but also unity of spirit to carry them into the ranks of the military and beyond.
They're friendships that are going to last a lifetime, and it's that kind of camaraderie that makes the Academy special and makes it bearable and makes things enjoyable.
Admission to the Academy is tough. Most midshipmen rank in the top 5th of their high school classes and must be nominated by a member of Congress. A number of admissions are reserved for people already in the Navy or the Marines. Now, once they get in, however, tuition is paid by the government, and they even get a salary of about $500 a month. In return for all of that, they have to serve for 6 years after they graduate.
There has been so much talk about sexual harassment lately. How much of an issue is that?
Well, most of the female midshipmen we talked to said they felt that the issue has been adequately addressed by the Navy. In fact, the Navy has instituted a policy for dealing with situations based upon a traffic light: green, yellow, red. So if you're with somebody and they make an off-color joke, you can say that's a yellow light situation, and they immediately know caution. And red light means stop.
And this seems to be working.
Yes, it's because everybody understands the red, yellow, and green. There's not a misunderstanding where someone would say, I didn't think she'd mind, you know, that sort of thing.
I tell you, every time I see pictures of the place, I think, wow, it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Isn't it? Mm-hmm. Pretty piece of land. 23 minutes after the hour. Thanks, Hattie. Stay with us. Heart Score 95 is still ahead when CBS This Morning continues live from Baltimore. It's a gorgeous day here.
That's our theme by the Chorus and Jazz Band at Arundel Senior High School in Gambrills, Maryland, Mark McEwen's alma mater. Thanks to them. And welcome back to CBS This Morning in Baltimore. I'm Harry Smith.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Paula Zahn.
Just ahead from Baltimore, Dr. Howard Torman shows us a minister who is out to save bodies as well as souls in part one of this week's Heart Score 95.
And Baltimore on film with a man who put it there, Tin Men, Diner, and Avalon director Barry Levinson. I'll be chatting with him at the tail end of the half hour.
Got to see Buddy Heffer. I mean, come on. Wow. With Mark McEwen over at Arundel High School. Good morning again.
Good morning to both of you. We are in Gambrills, Maryland, which is just down the road a piece. Paul and Harry. Harry, you know, over the years, I've been bringing you up to date with Arundel High School with their baseball team. Bernie Walter is the athletic director here, and he's also the baseball coach. His wife, Barbara's having a birthday today. We have a sign behind us here up on the see that says Arundel's Wrestling Champions. Let's look under undefeated seasons, shall we? Take a peek. Look at that. Mark McEwen, 1972 heavyweight, 11-0, and also let's look under county champs. I think we also have the name there, county champions. Next to Steve Layfield, Kurt Holly. I remember all Jerry Nieves, Maury Schmier, Steve Layfield. Woof. I think he went on to the military academy. Steve's a great guy. Let's talk about the weather. This is for tomorrow. It's warm right now inside, but it is cold outside. And tomorrow is going to be just about the same as today. What you're going to see, still cold in the northeast, highs, teens, low 20s. Lower Ohio Valley will see an inch or two of snow, Kentucky to western Pennsylvania. Deep south, cool but sunny. Plains and Rockies sunny as well. Great Basin, west coast, mainly cloudy with scattered showers. How about that? Arundel High School in Gambrills, Maryland. Paula, you look good down here in Wildcat green and white.
Thank you, and you deserve to have bragging rights there, Mark. I didn't know about those old records that still stand. Thanks. Welcome back to Baltimore, where we want to know, how fit are you? Well, this week we're teaming up with the American Heart Association for Heart Score 95 to get your heart and the rest of you in tip-top shape. In more than 650 communities, we're working with the YMCA and YWCA to provide fitness assessment tests at more than 1,000 sites. One of those sites is just up the road from Baltimore at the YMCA in Towson, Maryland, and Dr. Howard Torman is there this morning. You look fit, Howard. How are you this morning?
Okay, Paula, how are you doing?
I'm great, thanks.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty busy up here. We got folks doing aerobics in the back, and we've got a lot of people here for Heart Score 95. Now, the premise of this whole thing is really simple. You get out to your local YMCA or YWCA. They have you do a 1-mile walk at your own pace. They also do a body fat assessment. They measure your waist and they measure your hip, and they come up with a composite score for just how fit you are and what's your cardiovascular risk. Now, we talk about this all the time, but for a lot of folks, it goes in one ear and straight out the other. But here in Baltimore, they found a way to get that message out so that people do listen.
Squeeze it up and down.
Right, here we go. Pump it up, and swim! Swim!
Everywhere, the message is the same. Shape up.
Now turn around, here we go. Clap it up, press that toe.
but you've probably never heard it delivered like this.
How can you be a soldier for the Lord when you're aching and paining?
From the pulpit of his church in East Baltimore, Pastor Herb Watson ministers to his congregation's bodies as well as their souls.
The statistics tell us that we are in terrible condition because of our health.
Rates of hypertension, high cholesterol, obesity, and cancer in this community are among the worst in the nation.
We need to say to ourselves and to say to other folk, get that salt off the table.
So the black clergy teamed up with Johns Hopkins Medical Center to preach the message of health.
So the churches came to us and they said, can you help us put a program together that fits with the way we do business in the spiritual model and deals with weight loss and exercise.
Are you aware of any heart problems in your family?
No. Programs such as the Lightweight Project, which stands for Living in God's Healthy Temple.
Yeah, it's high. It's 170/100.
Healing the sick takes on new meaning in another church basement after Sunday services, with cholesterol and blood pressure screenings and the basics of how to cook and eat healthier.
How many times in a typical week do you fry foods?
About 4 times.
It's not the salt that I put in the food, it's the food that I cook with the salt.
At church dinners, gone are the pork and fatback. Chicken and turkey legs now grace the plate.
6, 7, 8,
And for this group, aerobics helps them
to get physically fit, mentally fit, and spiritually fit.
I always feel good when I come around a bunch of Christians to worship God, be it through exercise or preaching or just through song.
Even though people complain about us looking at health instead of crime, drugs, and unemployment and poor housing, I really believe that one of the root causes of even those situations is health. If you're a healthier person, you have a healthier outlook on life.
healing a community one person at a time.
Realize that God may be challenging us to become even better.
Of course, everybody's motivated by different things. I have two young women here I'd like you to meet. This is Erin and Beth, right?
Right.
What motivated you to come down here?
Actually, Beth motivated me a lot, but also I have a 3-month-old baby, 3 months tomorrow, and I'm studying for the bar, and decided to incorporate this into my lifestyle.
And you just had a baby as well, didn't you? What, 6 months?
6 months ago, right.
Amazing. So how'd you guys do? You took heart score.
Did well. Beth did extremely well.
You did? How'd you do?
I did well. I was in the low risk area.
So now you're going to do some regular exercise?
Yeah, we have been.
Although you look like you're doing remarkably well for two young women who just had babies. Paula, don't you wish? This is pretty amazing. Thanks for coming down. You know, this heart score thing is going to be going on now at local wise in your community. You can find out where by calling your local heart association. And we're going to be doing a series on Heart Score 95 all this week. And to order a videotape of all 5 parts of the series, all you have to do is call 1-800-542-5621. You'll get all 5 parts of that, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of things, Paula, from how to get motivated to what kinds of exercise to that maybe people should be doing or not doing. Paula?
Have you been scored yet?
Not yet.
I want to hear a score. Now, tomorrow, where are you going to be broadcasting from?
Tomorrow we're going to be up at Yale, New Haven. We're going to look at your risk of having a heart attack, and we're going to look at someone who goes through the whole process.
All right, thanks so much, Howard. Get that score ready for us 23 minutes before the hour. Coming up next, could you design a quake-proof building? See an exhibit that lets you try right here in Baltimore. We'll be back.
This morning's health report was sponsored by New York Life, the company you keep.
The earthquake that devastated Kobe, Japan, has made a lot of people think again about designing quake-proof buildings. Can it really be done? Well, here at the Maryland Science Center, there's an exhibit that lets visitors try their hand. Bob Fenton is a demonstrator here at the museum, and what are these kids working on behind us?
Well, what we have here is just one of the exhibits of the temporary exhibit known as Invention Adventure. Just like many of our other hands-on interactive exhibits, this invites visitors to actually do science. What the children are doing here are using some of the Lego Duplo box to create structures that can withstand stresses of a simulated earthquake.
What school are these kids from? Let's move out of the way here, Bob, and let
These are some fifth graders from Federal Hill Elementary School here in Baltimore City.
Are you making an earthquake-proof building?
Yes.
You're trying to?
Yep.
Are you guys ready to give it a try?
Yes. We try to build it up as high as we can.
Try to build it as high as you can? So, Bob, when do we let one of these kids push the earthquake button?
Let's go ahead. Let's put it up full power and push the button. Let's see how well it withstands.
All right.
Go to it. Full power, full power.
Full power.
Not bad.
Look at that.
Interlocking structure right here.
Man, you can see
a lot of good science.
You can see there's good science over there. That looks like Fort Knox practically. Good job, guys. Well, we've got some more kids who are working on a different structure. I don't know about this one. Now, is this one designed to withstand any earthquake, Dwayne?
I think so. It should.
It should. How about this? How long have you been working on this?
Well, we've been working on it just for about 5 minutes now.
About 5 minutes? All right. Well, let's go, guys. Let's turn on the juice and see what happens.
Give it full power.
You want to give it full power? Ooh. Whoa.
We've got some problems there, some design flaws. I think we'll have to go back to work on that one.
Well, it's a good thing that tremor only lasted about 10 seconds, right?
That's right.
All right. Hey, Bob, let's go all the way back to the back here. You with us? George is with us. Come on. Good job. All right, guys.
Yeah.
We got Andrew. Who's the architect here?
I don't know.
All of you?
Yes.
All of you worked on it together? And what school do you go to one more time?
Federal Hill Elementary.
Federal Hill Elementary. All right. Shall we give it a shot?
Give it full.
Which is
full
the
power.
strongest?
Full power, all the way up.
All the
there
way
you
to
go.
the right.
Push the button. Let's see how well it goes. Come tumbling down.
I think, this earthquake didn't stop either. We learned a lot about this, right? The one around the corner, what?
We had to have interlocking structures here. We had to use a little bit of a design plan. This one looks great, but I wouldn't want to live in it in an earthquake zone.
All right, Bob. Thanks so much. Good job, guys. Wave, say adios. See you later.
Adios. See you later.
We'll be right back.
I'm Monica Gale in New York. At 15 until the hour, here's more of this morning's news. A 6-year-old miner in Wyoming survived 2 days, lost 1,600 feet underground, only to die after being rescued. Mine officials say he apparently got lost when an earthquake Friday kicked up dust inside the mine and lights were cut in order to prevent a gas explosion. The man was conscious when rescuers located him yesterday, but he suffered a fatal heart attack on the way to the surface. There may be trouble ahead for President Clinton's nominee for Surgeon General. Senate Republican leaders say the White House should have told them that Dr. Henry Foster had performed some abortions. Foster said last week that he had performed fewer than a dozen abortions in his career, mainly in cases of rape or incest or to save the mother's life. A new study says the vast majority of the nation's child care centers provide poor to mediocre care. The research by 4 universities determined that 1 out of 8 centers are so bad they threaten the health and safety of children. Only 1 in 7 was found to provide good care. Meantime, health officials in Minnesota are trying to stop a deadly meningitis outbreak with vaccines and antibiotics. As Frank Currier reports, so far it's been confined to a relatively small area.
More than 1,000 townspeople in Mankato, Minnesota packed a school auditorium to ask health officials about a meningitis outbreak that has left a teenage boy dead and 6 other people hospitalized.
ISJ Meningitis Hotline. May I help?
The outbreak of bacterial meningitis began a week ago, largely among students at a Mankato high school. The source of the disease, which inflames the lining of the brain or spinal cord, remains a mystery. 4 of the victims are stable and improving. A 5th, Joe Kratzky, feels lucky to have been released.
At midnight, I guess I fell into a coma. It lasted for about 18 hours. I don't remember much after that.
Health officials rushed an emergency supply of vaccine to Mankato and inoculated 3,500 students. Antibiotics were also distributed to provide temporary protection as immunity slowly increases after vaccination.
We're hoping in combination with the vaccine and antibiotics that we won't have any more cases or very few.
As a further precaution, health officials in Mankato will give out another 6,000 meningitis vaccinations to students' families and school teachers, what is hoped will ensure an end to the state's worst outbreak in 7 years. Frank Courier, CBS News, Chicago.
When they say great weather for ducks, they are not talking about Columbus, Ohio in February, but take a look at these little guys. They didn't seem to notice that food was scarce and the ice was rapidly shrinking the size of their little swimming hole. So, despite a certain lack of cooperation from the ducks, the folks from the Humane Society came to the rescue. And in Spokane, Washington, Bailey the Labrador mix found herself in deep trouble when she jumped over a park wall and dropped 60 feet to a ledge below. Perched just inches from some treacherous falls, Bailey curled up and waited for help. It came when a rescuer rappelled down the side of the cliff, delivered her back to safety in the arms of her grateful owners. 11 minutes until the hour, and time for Mark and one more look at this morning's weather from Gambrels, Maryland. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Monica. Good dog right there, huh? That's a dog. If you said sit, the dog sat. Fell off of the cliff. We're in the media center here, what they used to call the library. Arundel High School has always been on the cutting edge of technology. What we have here is some interactive television. See that screen behind me right there? What they do is if you have a class that doesn't have full enrollment, but you have, let's say, 4 people in the school in Arundel High School that want to see it, 4 people in Glen Burnie, let's say, 4 people in Severna Park. They get them all together and you learn off of the screen. So it reminds me of Tom Selleck and his AT&T commercials. Ever think they could have classes in school where they're looking at a screen? It'll happen with AT&T. Well, it's happening with Arundel High School, and they're very proud of it here as well. They should be. I wonder if she can take enrollment from there. Maybe not. You gotta love it, though. Let's talk about the weather. It is cold here in Maryland. It is cold just about everywhere in the east. Frozen tundra, we're not playing when we say that. Temperatures today will be in the 20s for many places in the northeast. You go further up into New England, even colder. Wind chill, the wind is gonna be fierce today, bringing those high temps way down below 0. Hey, we've had a pretty decent winter so far, so this is what it normally feels like. You see a little snow through portions of the Ohio Valley, not the Ohio Valley, but that's more like the Tennessee Valley. Nice down through the southwest, some fog almost all day through portions of the southwest and rain up across the northwest as well. That's a quick look at the national forecast. Here's a look at your weather. Fresno, California, fog, haze, high of 61. Longview, Texas, sunny high of 63. Cleveland, Ohio, windy, flurries, high of 17. Philadelphia, look at that, high of 20 today.
Whoopi Goldberg wears her heart on her sleeve in Boys on the Side. Catch her tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
At 10 minutes before the hour, welcome back to Baltimore This Morning. You could say Director Barry Levinson has gone from diner to Tin Men to disclosure, but his heart seems firmly at home in Baltimore. Avalon tells the story of a Jewish immigrant family and why they chose Baltimore as the place to put down their American roots.
America in 1914, by way of Philadelphia. That's where I got off the boat. And then I came to Baltimore. It was the most beautiful place you've ever seen in your life.
Last night I talked with Barry Levinson in the very diner that he made a star. I asked him what keeps bringing him home to Baltimore.
There's something about the, I don't know, the characters or something. They seem very vivid in my mind. I mean, there's some real characters wandering around, and I run into them all the time if I'm working here. And they seem, they fascinate me. They absolutely fascinate me. I mean, I'm sure it applies wherever you grow up. I mean, so therefore my roots are here, so I relate to the people here in a certain way. So those are the people that I want to write about if I do those sort of semi-autobiographical films.
And you don't see these kind of people in Hollywood?
Well, it's another breed.
I'll say.
But also, those people all came from somewhere else.
Sure.
You know, and here, you know, people go back generations and generations, and so there's something, there's a quirkiness that I like to, you know, explore.
You talk about your work being semi-autobiographical. How much of you do we see in the films that we've enjoyed over the years?
Diner, there's a lot of me in all of the characters, including you know, the woman. So, you know, part of you comes out through everyone. Avalon is the most, in a sense, dealing with my family and all of that, so that's even closer in a certain way. And but it's hard to say.
It seems that this is a very popular place to be making films now. I mean, over at the hotel, we just saw Jodie Foster, Charles Durning, and Robert Downey Jr. is in town doing a film with Jodie Foster. What is it about this place for your business?
Certainly, you know, the texture, the look. There's a lot of different landscapes here, a lot of different types of styles of homes that you can make use of. And on the other hand, there's a great accessibility here. You can move very quickly from one location to the other.
How much has the town changed over the years?
In some ways, completely, and on the other hand, it's exactly the way it was. So obviously, if you go down to the harbor, that's all, you know, been redone in the last 10 to 15 years. That's altogether different. But if you go out into certain communities, it could be 1935. It looks exactly the way it was.
This diner is significant in your life.
This actually is the diner.
Is this the key booth, though, where we're sitting?
This booth here and this booth here, I think, is a key, and this one here we used.
Both in Tin Man?
Tin Man was over in that area.
And as a kid, did you sit here at one of these booths, about sort of at this location?
All night long. Yeah, this here, so it sort of brings back old memories, certainly.
Is there something else about the Baltimore area that you miss, other than the people, that keeps you passionate about the place?
Here, like obviously with crabs, steamed crabs in the summertime, it's like a celebration of an evening, because you have to understand, you go out and maybe for 4 hours, they put down the brown paper and you're eating crabs and talking, and for 4 hours you're kind of eating and stuff is all over your face and your hands and it's messy. And there's a great interaction in a way. They're not looking from here to see who else is there. They're just involved in what they're doing. In Los Angeles, there's a lot of times somebody will be talking and they're going, they're kind of
everybody's coming in the room.
What else is going on, and etc. And there, it's like whoever that person is, whatever's doing, and that's it.
Barry Levinson, very talented director, and a very nice guy. 5 minutes before the hour. Stay with us for more from Baltimore.
Big thanks to the Maryland Science Center. They invent fun here every day. Paula, thanks for the mugs. Thanks for the great view of downtown.
Mark?
I want to thank Ms. Sledge, who is the principal here, for letting us come to Arundel High School, and everybody here. I'll see you guys back in New York.
And we want to welcome WJZ-TV here in Baltimore to our family, our new CBS affiliate. Have a good day, everybody. See you in the morning back in New York.
Bye-bye.
Experience CBS News.